What's up, guys? It's Stephen Ronald Bell. I'm the founder of SRB Crypto, which is a crypto community. Essentially, I'm also the founder of TCM. I'm also the founder of SolStakeTV, which is what I'm going to cover today. Essentially, it's a startup that I built from zero, and it's a decentralized live streaming platform, Solana Rails for payments, and then LivePeer for unstoppable streams. I'm going to go over exactly why it is that I built it, the founder's story. And then I'm going to go over what we did well, what we could have done better. I'm going to go over things like market timing. Market timing is a factor beyond your control often, and it is a very much a determining factor, specifically in Web3. Web3 is much more sensitive to the conditions of the market, specifically around fundraising and launch and all of these sort of things. And I'm going to go over, I'll go over what it is that we built, and I'll show you guys the demo. And this is an idea that it can save you millions of dollars and also make you millions of dollars. Why I'm qualified to speak on this? Well, I built SolStake TV from zero. It was just an idea in my own head, and I've spent $2 million to make it happen. We're nearing a launch. We'll be launched in a month on a mainnet. We're launched on testnet now. The demo's launched. The smart contract's launched for essentially the token itself. And we're in a good spot product wise, which makes me happy to see that my idea has come to fruition. I have a very good team. We're a team of 8 of us, and we've got very good development. We've got developers that are all seniors, and they've built a very good product. They have a very good track record for building big companies that have been successful. Essentially, I'll go over the use cases and the pitfalls, and also the edges and things that we've hit a home run on. But I'll start with an introduction to what SolStake TV actually is. It's a big part of I'll go over why it is that I built it. So originally I was deplatformed and then also demonetized and debanked myself. I'm from Australia. I've been a crypto investor, Bitcoin OG, I would say, since 2015. I've known about Bitcoin since 2013. I had a lot of friends that were investing and actually got rich, certainly richer than me, from just being early on it and using it. And using it in the Silk Road days, using it in the actual dark web days. I think that there are a lot of OGs that were around during that period as well. And then obviously there are ones that were much earlier that were mining it and they were involved at, kind of the infrastructure level. But that wasn't me. But I did know people in 2013 that were using Bitcoin and talking about it and telling me about it. But I didn't really see the value until 2015, which is when I myself started to invest. I was investing in Bitcoin. It's about $800. I've really fallen in love with it ever since. Been in love with the crypto market itself. I've moved from Bitcoin into the altcoin space. I think that altcoins are very hit and miss. Altcoins, a lot haven't really achieved anything. A lot don't really have a reason to exist. And I think that the market's generally finding that the market's getting more sophisticated over time. And also the dilution of altcoins is astronomical now via outlets like token deployers and things like that. It's never been easier to deploy a token or a contract or start your own project. So therefore, the actual lifespan of a lot of these altcoins is going to be much lower into the future. I think that the altcoin sector itself, if it doesn't generate revenue, I think the altcoins need to become more like essentially Web2 companies, like actual companies that the token exists because it has some form of bid, some form of buy pressure, some form of revenue sharing. It's actually a company behind it, like that they have routes to make money versus just being another layer one or something that people don't really use, and then it's just pushing a lot of wash volume. I think that just altcoin space is fundamentally changing, and I do believe that it will change. I believe that it's going to get smarter over time. A lot of these meme tokens and things, some of them will still do well, but it's a very saturated area now. So this is a project that I'm going to go into with Solstake TV. But first, I'll start with the debanking story. So 2017 to 2018, I was running a fund. I was a partner in Talk Ventures. We were managing about $80 million. So that was a Web3 fund. We had good returns. We ended up dissolving, 2018. But we were in the ICO, mainly the ICO bubble. We're investing well in startups. We're going to do Chainlink, Matic Network. We rejected Solana at 10 cents, which was an interesting idea. But we didn't justify the valuation that it had, which is interesting because it's done very well since. But you can't get them all, like you can't win on all of them. But we had some very good winners, and our more important is the fund itself did very well, and it was dissolved on our own terms where investors still made good money. But then because I was in Bitcoin in 2017, 2018, when I was making withdrawals, I would use Hardblock or CoinSpot or places like that in Australia to make withdrawals. And the bank sent me a terms and services breach. and told me that I'm in breach because I'm interacting with a crypto exchange. And of course, I was in a breach in a means that I couldn't rectify. And then they breached me on terms of services and closed my account down and mailed me a check, which I couldn't actually cash out. There was only one bank itself that would actually let me put the check in another account, which was very interesting because they wouldn't give me cash either, and they wouldn't let me move that funding into another bank because another bank would close my banking down because I was banned from the big four. And then I couldn't actually move it into the crypto exchange hard block because I wanted to buy Bitcoin and they wouldn't move it onto the exchange either. So it was fairly long period of time before I could actually cash that check. And it was for close to $1 million, which was interesting that they were willing to lose $1 million customer just so that they wouldn't have to deal with any sort of crypto exchanges. But that's when I realized that was unacceptable. And then also I realized the deplatforming. So in about 2018, I made an account and I was online streaming. So I was online making videos and content, and they weren't big content or anything like that. I was just making some video content for YouTube. And then I was actually banned because in Australia, again, if you were making crypto content during that 2018-ish period, they were banning creators often for no reason. I wasn't talking about altcoins or pump and dumps or anything like that. I was just talking about Bitcoin, talking about my story for why I invested. I would liked Ethereum at the time. I wasn't recommending any buy calls or anything like that. And I had my account banned. And it was banned again, the same idea where essentially you're sent an appeals process to a nameless person. You appeal and it doesn't seem to really go anywhere. It's just gone. And there's no transparency, there's no accountability. You don't know who you're speaking to. You have no rights of coming back and being like, oh, I didn't breach anything. It's a terms and services breach. They give you a 50-page document and say somewhere you breached this and you're finished. And then I lost my channel, which wasn't that big of a deal at the time. It wasn't a big channel. But then I come to realize that, obviously COVID happened, 2020. People were locked in and locked down. And a lot of people that I knew at that time, I saw the Tates blow up. I saw a lot of other people completely explode online because they had been in the right place at the right time. People were home. So more and more people were watching digital products, watching content. And that whole wave exploded. So I realized that I had essentially missed out on that wave. And then also during the COVID drop, I couldn't actually buy crypto because I was banned from most of the big banks, and not only banned from them, I couldn't move the cash that I had. I had on one bank account, but I couldn't move it into a crypto exchange to actually purchase crypto. So I realized also that I was actually iced out of buying that drop. And then that's again completely unacceptable at those times. Banned for no reason. Like you're not given a clear cause or issue, just that you're interacting with crypto. Crypto is a competitor to us, so therefore we're not going to have you bank with us, which means that if you're banned from the big four, you often can't really bank anywhere. You're banning in some very risky credit union somewhere, and they're not going to have the liquidity. And if there's an issue, you might lose your money. So that's more of an issue there. And then the deplatforming. And then another issue that's emerged, so essentially debanking, deplatforming, and demonetization. So you can imagine that Rumble is a good product. Rumble's essentially a product where they kind of have less limits on free speech. Like I believe that there's more free speech on Rumble, and you can get a USDT wallet. You can be on the creator program, and you can actually use crypto and receive crypto. But you have to be accepted for their creator program. And if you have an opinion or an idea, or you have strikes, or you have ideas that go outside of the platform, you're not going to be on the creator program. Like you're not going to be able to actually utilize those wallets. I realize that there's still a very high level of gatekeeping, even on these platforms that are more freedoms of speech. It's just to a different side. Because any platform that's reliant on ad revenue, that's an idea that I really come to realize. The marketer owns you. Like again, it's the same saying. If I'm, essentially, Coca-Cola are a massive sponsor of the streams. They're a massive sponsor of, they're part of the Rumble budget. They count on them. And then I jump on and do a platform video for how Coca-Cola is full of artificial chemicals and it's killing people and it's this and it's that and it's this risk. Well, Coca-Cola are going to call Rumble and be like, demonetize that guy, get him off the stream, get rid of him, or we're not going to, we're not going to pay your marketing budget anymore. And it's not just that. You can imagine BlackRock and other entities, they can have 10,000 or 10,000 companies as well. So they can call in and be like, we don't like this guy. Can you demonetize him or essentially deplatform him? Can you remove him? He's talking about things. And it's not just the Coca-Cola, like it's not just the corpo or company idea. It's specific people. If you're talking about specific politicians or you're speaking about specific issues that they don't want you covered, you're not going to be on the platform very long, or you're going the light that's on you is going to be dim, and you're going to suffer via demonetization. Like that's going to be a thing because you're reliant on again. if you're reliant on the viewership to have a lot of viewers because you're reliant on running rolling ads, well, then there's certain things that you know you can't in fact talk about. It's like Pavlov's dog, like certain narratives and ways that you go down, you see that your viewer count goes up. So you just keep talking like that. And then other ways that might also be truthful, you talk about that and you see your viewer count drop 90%. And then you realize, I have to go where the money is. But the money is often not where the truth is. So that's essentially why it is that I built SolStake TV. We have truly unstoppable streams. Doesn't mean that we're a platform of hate because we're not. But you know, we have a strict moderation policy, but it's a clear moderation policy. And when if you are in fact to be removed off the platform, yeah, we'll overlook and see what it is exactly that you did. You're not going to be essentially just banned for no specific reason. You know, you say you don't like this politician or another, you're not going to have your platform removed, unless, of course, you know, you're inciting violence. That's a different thing. But that's essentially why it is that I built it. And then I'll also cover why it is that I built the bounty system. But we can go over essentially, this is our investor deck. We can go over it in part here. I hope that the screen share is coming through for you. So that's it. SolStake TV, token gated live creator and iGaming platform on Solana. There will be iGaming, although in the beginning we'll just have lotteries and raffles. We have a new mechanic or a new mechanism. So imagine that you're a streamer, you're a creator. You can run lotteries, fan meets. You can run, you know, essentially digital product giveaways. You can run things that you yourself can't run because we're licensed. You know, even if you're an adult creator, some of them can't do, you know, they can't do lotteries, wheel spins, giveaways, any of that. And essentially with us, because we're actually a licensed platform, you can do a lot of those things. We're trying to find new forms of creator monetization outside of being reliant on ads. Because again, you cannot have a free platform if you are reliant on ad revenue from the outside. It's just the marketer wags the dog, which means that they control the whole platform. So that's our idea is that we're essentially putting the power in front of the people again. Platform risk is existential for creators. The three Ds that threaten creator livelihoods, the platforming audience erased overnight without warning or recourse, the monetization revenue switched off instantly with arbitrary enforcement, debanking, payment rails closed without explanation or appeal. That's another one. So you imagine that payment rails, if you're dealing with Visa and MasterCard, and we are also because we have, you know, we do have MoonPay Commerce, we have embedded wallets via Turnkey, but they're a little bit more flexible. And also, we're not completely reliant on MoonPay Commerce because we can, in fact, remove them and just rely on Solana rails. But essentially, if you're using, again, if you're reliant on Visa, MasterCard, those other, they're going to wag the dog again because they can just they can debank the platform. They can have the platform, if whatever it is, the content that's on there, they don't agree with, they can remove it. And some of the ideas that they have can be very woke. They can change with time. See, there's a difference where, you know, the rules are set. You know, the rules are set in the corner. There's certain things, you know, you can't take drugs on stream. You can't do things that are illegal. You can't hurt yourself on stream or threaten to hurt others or things like that, which is things that I believe most people understand that they don't really want to see more of. You don't want to see children on stream or any of that stuff, you know, doing things that are, you know, against the law. But morals and ethics and virtues, they can be different. You might, again, this is an idea and not something that I'm to be going, but you might not like, I don't know, trans ideas. You might not like gay ideas, all of these sort of things. But, you know, if a person who's essentially the admin might have really firm beliefs in one way, and therefore now they might discriminate on someone on the other side, whether it's that they're pro-gay people or they're anti. It's still discrimination. And again, I don't believe discrimination has really any place in a freedom of speech platform. The people decide what it is that they want. If there's a person streaming and they're gay, it's up to you if you want to watch them or not. But you shouldn't ban them just because they are, and you shouldn't promote them just because they are either. It's again, it's both forms of discrimination, I believe, because you can also discriminate to promote one discriminates against the others, and that's not what SolStake TV is in itself about. So yeah, that's part of it, and these is another big part of it. Normal platforms, again, cap revenue trajectory, and we bring in the highest verticals again, which is generally via iGaming. Also, adult. Adult has a place on SolStake TV. It's 18 plus. It's not something that we're focusing on as a core component of the business model. But again, it's if you're building a platform that's for freedom, you're building a platform for people to express themselves. And you know, we have Ondado for KYC. We have a high-level KYC provider. We're providing a secure environment. Well, then people can do what it is that they want to do. It's not, I'm not building the platform that essentially is something that I can morally sit there and be like, because again, I'm building a platform that people will decide what it is that they want. That's the idea. And again, it's a clear path to new forms of monetization. And monetization is not necessarily completely reliant on tips because YouTube, and they have super chats, and some of the other platforms do tips as well. But YouTube super chats keep a considerable amount of that specific revenue. Your reliance on their rails, again, you have to have a bank there. They can hold your funding. You might get banned during that period. You might, again, the idea is that you could be building a platform. You might build a massive following, and they could just ban you in one day. They can demonetize you, so you have a big following, but now you can't run ads, and ads are your only business. See, what I learned from talking to creators, I've spoken to hundreds of creators now. There are some who are very good at getting attention because they're fun, they're funny, they're entertaining, but they're not very good at monetizing. Some of them don't. They don't understand things from the business perspective, or they don't want to run a business. Like they don't like the back end. The idea is that I have to build a product. I might have to have a specific niche of knowledge that I can move into that specific product where their edge is just I'm funny, I'm entertaining, and people like to watch me. Also, if you're a creator, it's harder to run a business because some of these creators, that's their whole job. So again, it's the saying is, imagine Tate. Tate is not just Tate. Like Tate is a business of 20 or 30 people plus. Like they run a considerable business. I would imagine it might even be 100 people plus if they counted clippers, probably thousands. But yeah, the idea is that if you're front facing and you're a media and you're the one doing the attention, it's very hard to do the whole back end. In fact, you'll realize that most of them can't. Most front end is just the front end, and then they have back end running the whole business because it's too hard to run everything. It's just too difficult. Like me, I run SRB Crypto, I run TCM, and I'm the front end, and now I run SolStakeTV. And I'll tell you, in fact, I'm run very thin under such an idea, specifically now because the market is volatile, which means that you have to be a little bit more risk adverse, which means that you have to have more hands on deck. And why now? Why now for SolStack TV? Well, rising platform risk, deplatforming, debanking is accelerating across creators. You see it on Kick, you see it on Rumble, you see it on Twitch. Twitch has, in my view, some of the worst ban policies of the all of the ones that are large. Twitch can be banned for very little. We have a creator on there that she was a gaming streamer. She still streams gaming. And one day she was banned because of the top that she was wearing. They said that it was hinted that it was too revealing. But then you can see again, she's clothed entirely. It's not a bikini, it's a top. But then you can also see some of the others doing worse and they're fine. Again, these bans are trivial. Like this is a trivial ban. Again, if it's to be, it has to be in the moderation policy and strictly enforced. Like these are the rules, and if you step outside it, you're gone. Not these are the rules, and we just enforce them however it is that we want. Because again, the idea is that if someone's skirting the rules and being rewarded for it, then others will skirt the rules, and then creates an unfair playing ground. Some of the streamers on there, I would believe, are favored streamers, where in fact they get much better treatment and much better, visibility, much better. Essentially they can do more things without being banned, whereas others can in fact be banned quite easy. Solana ready microtransactions. Yeah, we have fast settlements on Solana. Solana's got a lot of uptime. I mean, predominantly considerably massive amounts of uptime. The network itself hasn't had a lot of issues. It's been easy to build on. It's been a good platform for us. We're happy with it. And then we also have embedded wallets and fiat on ramps. Essentially all payments and all transactions and all settlements on SolStake TV are in our native STV token. Essentially, that will be launched. We're running an IEO via CoinStore in a few days' time. That's coinstore.com. We're running an IEO there, and yeah, we'll see how it is that goes. But we're quite excited about that, and yeah, that will be a part of our fundraise. Essentially, we haven't fundraised till then, so it's been entirely self-funded, which is interesting because I believe it shows the massive level of conviction that I have in SolStake TV and the fact that I built a platform for free speech. Free speech is incredibly important to me. To me, that's what crypto is about. And I believe in some points we've forgotten what crypto is about. And a lot of projects now just think, how can I get more liquidity, more stable coin, more, we want to, more of the financial side, real world assets. How do we get all the tokenization of everything? How do we get that big capital in? And they've forgotten to actually build products for the consumer. They've forgotten the product that brought them into crypto, And now they think, how do I get institutional money here? We want more ETFs. But again, they're not building products that the people who are in crypto actually want to use. So getting more volume in and maybe even just rinsing them out leaves a bad impression and can actually create a multi-year bear market where the next cycle is a left translated cycle because a lot of people have left the market, and those who are buying via ETFs, they might be buyers that actually have no conviction in crypto, and as quick as they come in, they can leave. So I think that a lot of projects are really screwing up there. And that's partly why we've built SolStake TV. Remember that every user that we bring over from a Web2 streamer that we have Zeus, No Jumper, there's 12 million reach there, is a new user for crypto. They have to download a wallet. They have to, at least deal with embedded wallets. They're using the chain immediately, like they're immediately on chain. They have to deal with STV, like they have to learn the market. We're bringing them over in the same way that us ourselves come to fall in love with crypto, not just via an ETF product where they might log into their retirement account, click a button, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'll just get some Bitcoin exposure. But who knows what Bitcoin is? We actually get them utilizing and using the platform and having fun. Their trust is borrowed from their favorite streamer and they're brought in. So every Web2 user we have to fight for our users. Every Web2 user we bring over is, in fact, a new user in the ecosystem of crypto. So that's why SolStake TV is in itself an important platform. Yeah, so again, non-custodial, we're non-custodial, we're essentially a protocol. We're a splitter, you could say, and I'll go into the terms of that into the future. Yeah, that's our idea is that embedded wallets do in fact remove friction for new users because some of the new users won't know so much about, downloading Solflare or Phantom or other wallets, but via us, they'll come to use that end-to-end on-chain creator infrastructure, token gated live streams is what we have. So you can have membership tiers, you can run memberships, you can run courses behind a vaulted wall, like we have vaulted content. So again, you can gate certain content where they have to pay a certain amount of SDV tokens. There's no chargebacks. Someone can upload photos, videos, whatever it is that they want to have on there, and they can leave it on there for a lifetime. So imagine you run a stream with me, you're streaming now. And then you say, okay, the stream is over, but now I want to gate it. I want to put it in the vault. I'll charge people $5 each person who views it, in SDV token. And, over a period of a few years, that can add up to thousands of dollars or more, so it can be valuable. Instead of just doing a stream and it ends and that equity is kind of gone, you can control it. You have control over your content and your audience. The audience of you actually have their details as well. You can reach out to them, as I'll express more into the future. And yeah, real-time moderated chats, micropayments, moderated chats. We'll use AI monitoring for part of that as well. Licensed iGaming models, yeah, we'll have provably fair license mechanics. It will in fact be not a bucket shop. We have we're essentially a licensed company. Fiat on-ramping, again, fiat on-ramping via MoonPay commerce, which again eliminates a little bit of the friction. No off-ramping though, because we want people to use essentially STV token. That's our roadmap, essentially our roadmap where it is that we're at. It's not meant to be spicy, like it's not meant to be something where we just say we're going to launch with 10,000 creators or we have 1 million creators for the next quarter. This is very grounded. Like these are things that we're delivering on. And they're quite exciting for me. There's something that I'm very happy about. And the most thing that I'm probably the most happy about is that so SolStake TV is your first platform in history, and I'll get over it. I'll get into it now. So imagine this is the idea that I had. So I was dealing with a famous streamer online, and he had come through a recommendation of someone that I'd met. And we did a talk, we were on webcam, we were chatting, we made a deal. And then this streamer's world famous, and it was actually several of them. One of them was, essentially the platform No Jumper as well. We met, and fixed the deal, but there was a middleman, and he had recommended and introduced us to it. And we structured a deal with me and three very famous streamers, that will essentially do marketing and do some promotion and do some other things. I'm not going to get into the exact terms, but the guy who had facilitated and set up the deal swapped out the wallet addresses. So essentially, we'd made a crypto deal. We were going to do this, this, and this. And the guy in the middle had swapped out the wallet addresses and then resent the contracts through. So essentially, he had performed a man in the middle scam, and I was sending funding off to not the creators. I was sending funding off to him, and essentially he rugged us for nearly 200K. So $200,000 rug disappeared, and then we got about 50K of that back. But the remainder is, obviously not just gone, but now it's when you're building something and you take a hit like that, it's not just the financial, it's the time. They've eroded the trust with the streamers because some of them didn't realize exactly what it is that happened. Because he was a trusted person, like he was someone that they also had levels of trust for. He was a middleman, and essentially he'd gone bad in the moment. But again, that's why we built essentially that happens a lot. Essentially I went live and said what it is that happened, and I had at least 10 or 20 people reach out about that specific person that he had in fact screwed them over as well. And then I realized that a lot of these streamers, their marketers, their managers, they can perform these man in the middle scams because essentially what can happen is you're a brand or you're a guy or you're a crypto project or whatever. You reach out to a famous streamer on Instagram, they agree to do this many reposts, this many stories, this many anything. You're not talking to the actual streamer. A lot of the time you're speaking to their manager or their social media manager, and they can make deals and back deals, get paid in crypto, and then just delete all the correspondence. And some of the deals don't even reach the streamer because the streamer isn't actually monitoring their chat. A lot of them are actually streaming live all the time, or 8 to 10 hours a day or 6 hours a day, and they're not running the back end of the business. They don't even see a lot of the deals that come in. The manager decides what deals he's going to pass through to the actual entertainer, the streamer. And that's a real problem. Like that's a big problem. I mean, you might have differing ideas. Your manager might be hostile. Your manager might be keeping deals from you. He might be giving you, less than you actually had signed for. You don't know exactly what's happening. You're not privy. If your management turns bad, he can screw you over a lot. So our idea is that essentially we're going to launch on-chain bounties where you're a viewer and you make a bounty request directly to your favorite streamer live on-chain on it with STV token. You want them to do a specific outcome. You're a brand and you want Adam 22 or someone else to drink a cola on stream. You send a bounty out for $100 in STV token if you have a cola on stream. I just naturally pull one out and pop it and have a drink and say, I really like this. And now you've got a new form of organic ads. They're not rolling ads now. And not only that, that's part of it. But you want a specific outcome. Maybe I want a specific streamer to wear a certain shirt, certain top, certain, I want them to shout my brand out. I have a brand of caps and I want them to wear it on stream and organically say that they like it. And now I'm actually seeing it be fulfilled. The streamer can actually see it and be like, okay, these are the ones I want to collect, or these are the ones that I don't. It's completely organic ads. Like it's something that hasn't really been done before. Not at this scale because we have the creators, like we have the actual back end. And then also the more important and exciting part, dare pools will be a part of it. So essentially you'll be able to ask certain creators to do certain dares, certain outcomes. You want to play truth or dare with your favorite streamer. That can be 18 plus as well because we have gated KYC. And then also the one that I'm most excited about is essentially crowd pooling certain outcomes. If you want me to do a video on a certain outcome, you can raise a crowd pool request via a bounty request, and you can say, oh, for $100, I want you to cover this project, or I want you to cover this that's in the news, this headline. And some streamers are like, I can't cover that. It's too risky for my reputation. But then others can slap on the same bounty, like others can crowd pool. So 1,000 people can put $100 down, and now you have 100K to get to certain outcomes that you want. You have a means to actually influence the streamer in real time. You have a means to influence culture. Like you have a prediction market, but you can't access that. Like there is corruption in the prediction markets and things like that, but they're not happening at the level that you yourself can even look to. You can't influence outcomes in the prediction markets. Only essentially the people at the top can, because they're choosing what outcomes they want to happen on the big prediction markets. But via ours, you can actually have influence on culture in real time. You can push for certain outcomes. You can push for certain dialogues. If someone jumps in and says that they want those certain logs to be covered by a very famous streamer, the streamer says, I can't because I have colliding, deals, and certain marketing will pull my deals. But now you can raise a pool that's 500K in STV. Well, everyone has something where they look at and they're like, okay, this financially makes sense. You can actually create dialogue. Like you can influence dialogue of famous creators, streamers. You can leave giant pools there as well for certain streamers to come in and actually collect on. There's no other platform that does that. That's why SolStakeTV is in itself unique in that regard. You can push for certain outcomes, certain topics, and it's not just that, it's influence, right? And then imagine AI agents in the future. Imagine AI agents want to leverage trust, like you're an AI agent coming through. You don't have a human form. You need human forms to actually, essentially create ideas and things that benefit you. So our idea is that also we have a platform that AI agents can actually use as well at scale. I believe that, from 2030 onwards, that would be predominantly where a lot of the bounties would be coming in. But that's interesting. That's I believe that we're the first in a market. It's huge in that regard because we have the reach. It's not just theoretical. Again, it's a form of organic ads, something that I believe doesn't exist, and it's also fun. It's fun to do, get on and actually be able to engage with the streamer. It's a new form of monetization, like it's a new monetization method for streamers. Streamers don't have a lot of interactive ways to actually engage with the audience that can be fun and funny outside of just being reliant on tips and things like that. Like they can actually say, I want you to do this outcome 200 STV, and the streamer's like, come on, give me at least 1,000 and I might do it. And then others can also slap on. It's something that's incredibly new and something that's very exciting for me. And also the SolStake AI roadmap is very exciting for me. Essentially, we have we're fundamentally moving towards getting creators to be hands off. Not all creators, some will and some won't want to. But again, the idea is that you're a streamer and you can be fatigued, and filming content every single day can be tiring. For some of them, there's already enough content that exists that they can run, a digital twins model where they become a hands-off creator, and the AI can insert, in fact, assist them in the beginning and then actually replace them. So they're still existing, but they can replace them in parts. They can be more hands-off because the content already exists. That's what it is that we're looking at, which is what I believe also will become a massive part of our growth. I think that that will be huge. Essentially AI likeness. Then we can form an AI likeness marketplace where you can sell your essentially you can sell your likeness or at least hire it out for different brand deals and different parts. Platform comparisons. Essentially these are our competing platforms. We'll have to reassess our FDV though, because this was a much earlier round and now we're getting close to launch. So the FDV there is not in itself accurate. Essentially, yeah, these are I would say that Twitch likely has to be in there as well. But these are our competitors, right? Our competitors are all big dogs. Like none of them are really small projects. Our main competitor is likely, yeah, I would believe Stake and Kick. Rumble itself also, but you'll see that all of the projects are essentially big projects, and that those are our ambitions. They're not small ambitions, but we do have edges, right? We have edges that others don't have. See, everyone would love to lean into our bounty model that we've discovered, but they can't because they're reliant on fiat rails. They're going to be reliant on, essentially it's too much of a pivot to pivot away from what it is that they have. They're rolling ads, or their investors that they've already taken funding off won't like this sort of an idea because this puts power back into people, not the big corpos, although big corpos can still, they can still use the bounty programs themselves as well. But it changes the game a lot. It's very disruptive. And bounty, essentially the ads model is massive, right? You want, your favorite streamer to cover a certain project. You want them to cover a certain exchange. You want them to wear a certain shirt, and then they do it. And they do it organically during the stream. You have a crush on a certain girl, your favorite streamer, and you wanted to talk about you. Well, I mean, she could, right, on the stream. It's not just something, it's a way to be noticed as more than someone who's just the name and sits in the corner of the screen and I gave a tip to someone. That's not enough. Like, that's not enough. A lot of people, and it's not enough for the creators either. I'm a creator as well. You want to be actually engaging with your fans, well, not just your fans, but your viewers, but your audience. You want to actually have more of a levels of organic engagement, not just to see the name in the corner and just the thing pop up. Like I want to get closer to my audience, and that's the essentially the beginning. That's the beginning. I'll see how much further I can go. I think that this might do for half time. Yeah, this is the idea. So STV token is essentially the settlement value capture layer. Everything runs on STV, and then the interesting model is that essentially for fees, we take 80% goes to the stream. 80% of all fees goes to the streamer first. So there's no custody. We can't hold your money. We can't even stop the money if we wanted to because it's an STV token, but essentially we don't custody funds, which means that also for compliance, we don't have as many bottlenecks. We don't have as many attack vectors because we're not relying on banking. But yeah, so essentially fee distribution. So 80% goes to the creator. Of the remaining 20%, 40% of that is burnt. That'll never reach supply. That's immediately gone. 30% goes to stakers. So essentially you're rewarded in that regard for staking, but you're rewarded actual revenue share on the platform. And then 30% goes to the treasury, which is essentially for us for further hires. But yeah, that's it. 1 billion tokens will exist, and those are the amount of tokens that will ever exist. In the beginning, I believe in the first 4 years, there's about 40% of tokens that hit circulation in that peak period. In the first year, it's maybe 15% or 20%. So don't, you see the FDV, I wouldn't be in a panic about in the first, 2 years, it's only going to be what, like 25 or 30% of the tokens that actually hit circulation. So, which is still considerably low. We're built for a very long term. And I think that that's enough on the beginning. Maybe I'll cover one more slide. Essentially, STV is in itself a business. Like SolStakeTV is a proper company. That's why we also have the rev share model via, returns to stakers. But it's all happening at a protocol level. Again, this isn't our choice, and we're not actually custodying funds, which is interesting. So this is the basis for it. Essentially the safer work tips, and then the not safer work tips. We take a little bit of a higher, essentially a higher take. Yeah, so 85% of the safer work goes to the creator, and then 20% we keep of the not safe for work. And then the iGaming, but the mechanics is a little bit different because it depends on the edge for the actual game. A lot of the games are they're all different. Depends on our edge, how it runs. But yeah, it's very interesting. I believe it's something that everyone needs to really look into and determine if it's an investment for them. But I can guarantee you, Solstake TV is in itself a business, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer in a bad market. Like the market now is really bad. Where it is now is that, essentially, I believe we're similar to a COVID crash, in terms of liquidity drying up in the market. We have the war in Iran. Uncertainty is high. Conviction has to be high to continue building. We've been building. We started when Solana was, 240 $240 or something. Now we're still building when Solana's $80. We're going to just keep pushing through. And essentially, I believe that we're the ones who build in the bear market, regardless of market conditions, are the ones that are going to thrive going into the bull market. We're building Solstake TV. It's a real business, solves a real use case problems. And those are some of the issues that are, I've gone over in this video, that things that, have plagued me. I believe the best founder, I really, really believe that the best founder builds a problem that he himself needed. Like the best founder, again, fixes the issue that he himself had. He fixes it for himself, and in doing so, he fixes it for 100,000 people. See, I fixed the exact issue that I have: the debanking, deplatforming, demonetization, but also the essentially the man in the middle scam via the marketer. A man in the middle scam via management. But in doing so, I realized that there were 10 or 20 people that I know who had the exact same problem with the same people. And now I realize that when that scales out, that's probably hundreds of thousands of people. How many times you run a rolling ad and the conversion sucks, or you don't know the conversion? And some people, you don't even like get the message across to the one that you wanted to get it through to. You're trying to reach out to a famous streamer. The streamer tells you they're not interested or just deletes your message. You think, oh, they must not be interested, but that could just be their management. That could just be not even their management, someone who's managing their social media. That could be someone from a country that is not even the country that you were trying to get to. Some of them just use people in the middle, and there's no accountability. Like the streamer didn't even see your request most of the time, if you can even get their attention though, because essentially they're drowned on social media and drowned in marketing and email. You might not even be able to reach them, and even if you thought you got through to them, you might not have even gotten through to them. So this idea of bounty processes, you will surely get through to them. They will see you and they will notice you under the system, and that's it. And that's the thing that we're building. And then I believe we're building something really, really special. And it's taking a lot of conviction to get through, because we haven't had, we've got support of our, essentially our partners and things like that, but we've been doing all of this on our own. We have a very good team. We're very built together. And I think that we're going to change the game. And yeah, as always, thanks for the support. This is part one, and we'll keep going through. And essentially, I'll review the last part of it in the next stream. And then I'll go over what we did well and what we could have done better. And this is the Founders Series, and this is SolStakeTV. Till next time.